What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fun with Dumb. We are like a day or two away from Thanksgiving, feeling real festive and grateful for everything that's happened this past year, all the guests we've had on the podcast, all my co-hosts here. And speaking of co-hosts, we got Steffie Bake returning from her trip in Brazil. Rest in peace to your grandmother.
Yeah.
She was an actress, actually, in the 60s and 70s in Korea, right?
50s.
50s
yeah,
in Korea.
50s. And it was crazy because, I went to Korea like 2 months ago and we found that little piece of film that my grandma made.
An archival
There
footage.
was one film left over. Yeah, it was archived. And just by chance, my mom found it. We've been looking and I can't believe my grandma just passed away last week and she got to see that little piece of
Oh,
put
it on the screen real quick.
You're talking about that black and white piece?
Yeah, just put it on the
right.
screen. The little
video.
clip. Go to
It's
the
the
video.
one before.
Left.
You don't need the audio, but
The left.
just
right here.
yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
So that's your grandma right there.
That's my grandma.
Explain the scene. What's going on here?
So this is like a this man is a philandering poet and he leaves his family, I know, and basically comes back and tells his wife who's just has a baby. You could see on her back she has the baby and he's like, yo, I'm gonna leave again. So
yeah, that guy looks like a piece
pissed.
of shit.
Yeah, he does, right?
That dude does. He doesn't care. He's like, yeah, go ahead. Look at him.
That's that antique fuckboy right there.
It's because he's an artist. He's become an artist, and he's like, I gotta do my little thing.
So this is an old version of a rapper's baby's mama.
I always thought,
Look at that pose. You know what he's about.
He's such a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit, dude.
Oh man,
you don't know what he says, but anyways,
that's
yeah,
amazing. This is amazing footage.
This.
It's like really, this is history, right?
I don't even know if I'm allowed to take it. I don't think I was supposed to film it.
You have to go to the museum to get this footage, right?
Yeah, but I wasn't. I took it on my phone, and I don't know. But it was just beautiful to see her act. She's always been very dramatic in my life, and so it was nice to be like, oh, it's because she was an actor, and I never really connected those things as like a reality that she acted, like that was her job.
Right.
It was almost like once she got married, that was her life. We never talked about her past this way, as if she even had, a real life.
It's crazy how
marriage,
older people they do incredible shit and never talk about it.
No.
And this generation has to talk about the first shit that happened this past weekend. And we got
stunning.
We got Rick Lee, other co-host here. How you doing, Rick?
I'm good. Glad to be here. Still getting used to this new setup right now, baby.
Yeah, it's real cozy. A lot of collectibles and stuff. And speaking of collectibles, our special guest today, somebody I met maybe 10 years ago, somewhere around that range.
Wow.
I've been following this stuff for a long time. And I'm a collector as well, specifically in Asian collectibles, Asian American collectibles, magazines and such. And this man really kind of helped curate a lot of these artists, has a store in Culver City, various locations. I don't know if anymore, but his name's Eric Nakamura, co-founder of Giant Robot.
Woo.
Let's go.
How you doing, Eric?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man. And the reason I invited you is there was a documentary just released on the magazine you started, Giant Robot, back in the early 90s.
Yep.
And this is the stuff that gets me going, all right? Because it's it's Asian American history, Asian history.
Yeah.
And 1994. Can you talk about how the zine started?
It started. There was a whole different landscape, totally different.
Right.
Internet. No internet. Basically, it's really light.
Right.
It barely exists. And then. There's punk rock zines, and zines were sort of in record stores. That's where you could find them, and it would be on the bottom shelf, dusty, dirty, because no one wanted to buy it. Even if it was $2, nobody wanted to buy it, so they'd all be wrinkled and stuff. But that's the stuff that I was looking at, and out there was some glossy magazines that were Asian American. They're just glossy kind, and I'd look at them and be like, God, this is not for me. Right? Like you wouldn't be in those magazines. You wouldn't have made it.
Right.
Even now.
But there were...
They'd be like, nope, not this guy.
But there were zines for specific subcultures and niches, right?
Well, at the time, most of I was looking at, they were all punk rock zines.
Yeah.
That's what I could find. Or you go to Tower Records, they had a good zine section. It'd be all like punk rock zines or something like that.
Skate zines.
Not a lot, but there were some. They existed, but they weren't a lot.
Because
there were skate magazines already at that time.
Right.
But basically, it was there was just nothing like it. And then, just saw these glossy Asian American magazines, thought they were awful, and I thought, okay, I got to start something because this is just hell. Like, this is awful.
This is the interesting thing too, because when I saw the documentary, the existence of like other Asian American magazines. So there were Asian American magazines. Oh yeah, and you just didn't like the type of shit they were covering.
Much hate. Yes,
wow.
I hated it.
Yeah,
thought it was awful.
What was it? It was like, was it because it was just celebrity culture?
Yeah,
or what?
But celebrities in Asian American celebrities in 1994. who was that?
Yeah, it's like
Kelly. I think
this
of
Asian
Kelly
guy who was in a
who?
Target commercial. It's
Maybe
like,
Kelly who?
I think of Kelly. And I think of like,
I mean, you thought of one. You did one. Okay. No, there wasn't a lot, but if they were, I don't know. They were either got to be really pretty, a very handsome man, maybe. But otherwise, it was just there was very little, and maybe it's the background player in this movie that barely gets a minute in it, right? You know.
And the fucked up thing about that is like there's Asian people doing amazing shit in different areas. Behind the scenes and all that.
Yes.
I agree with you on that. And I mean, I'm a generation way after that, but even in the early 2000s, there was, bullshit coverage on certain things.
Yes.
I remember those.
It kept going.
Yeah, it did.
It did, yeah.
Still
so
like this.
I just didn't like the idea of Asian Americans celebrating mediocrity.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh, man, there's so much stuff that's out there that's amazing. And there's like leading men, I guess you would say, because there's like leading women here, but then leading men in Asia that they get no ink in America at all. Yeah. But I mean, they or even women are on the covers of their DVD boxes.
Yep.
Right. And it's just on the regular, and they're really great. And I was thinking, oh, okay, so I kind of just blended all of it into one, so some of it's Asian, some of it's Asian American. And that's kind of what I kind of thought would be all right, because that's what I was into.
Nah, it was dope because there was stuff in the early issues of your magazine that you had contributors that were talking about all sorts of stuff. Asian women talking about stereotypes and fetishizing, like really early on, and being really blunt about a lot of this shit. The punk rock groups, sumo culture. You were big on that.
Yeah, I was into it.
I really saw that. That was a big thing.
So Giant Robot was there was this one person that's I forgot he was a teacher. A professor at a college, and he said for some reason Giant Robot always celebrated big things, like big heavy people, big people. There was always that's a sumo wrestler's fit, but there was always like I tried to find the country's tallest Asian American person.
Yeah.
That was an example. That was one article. The search, and I found a dude who was 6'11" 3/4". Right, he's born in America, like American. Asian American guy, and that was the tallest one I could find. But that's an example. It's like I was always looking for the extremes, like
were you did you grow up with a lot of Asians or Asian Americans in your neighborhood or your friends?
It was both, right? So maybe at school a lot of Asian Americans, but when I got home it was all like maybe white people in my neighborhood, but it was a mix, right? It was like a dichotomy, because in school it's like you're like, okay, white friends, I'm gonna hang out with the Asian American people over there. I'm gonna act like I don't know you for a minute, and then after school it's like, okay, here we are like talking about metal and D&D and stuff, right? Or there was a little bit of that too. So it's kind of like this weird. That was a weird upbringing.
Yeah. So I mean,
like, why couldn't we all be together in one? But we couldn't.
Well, you were going to UCLA.
That's later, but
in 1994, right? And like, what was UCLA like? I mean, now there's still stereotypes, like there's a lot of Asians at UCLA, right?
Yeah.
Was there a lot of Asians during that time too?
Yeah. It was hard to get in. I mean, it was one of those things. I was a transfer student, so I went to Santa Monica College for 4 years. So I spent my time there. But then, getting to UCLA, it was tough, just like it is today. Yeah. And I snuck in kind of. I barely, I shouldn't.
What did
have been
you
there.
study?
I ended up doing East Asian Studies.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that you've always been interested in like kind of keeping the culture alive out
but
here.
That was the easiest major for me to finish and get out. Was sort of seriously it. Yeah, that was why I did that.
Oh,
damn,
that's cool.
And then I saw in the doc too that people were kind of noticing the zine coming up. People even in like the different parts of the country and stuff.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean,
how did that happen? How did it get out there though? Pre-internet. That's crazy. Interesting to me.
There's distribution like Tower. Like Tower stores. Mm-hmm. They would get it out there. Just a few distributors the hard way. You ship it to somebody, then they ship it to a bunch of stores, and it was like that. But that's just. It's the same. It still operates the same way today. In the end, if you make a zine, you want to get it out there, you have to get into a distributor, and it's just a crooked ass business. But
and
just like probably music, it's the same thing.
It's amazing because like some of the early contributors from for Giant Robot, OGs like Margaret Cho, David Cho, 2 Chos, Daniel Wu.
Yeah, he contributed for like 10 years or something.
Yeah, and he was a actor who went to Hong Kong and blew up over there.
Huge
superstar.
Yeah. Like A-list.
And this was during that time where that all happened, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And there's like an article where it's like, oh, I went to Hong Kong and became a star.
He told the story, and Margaret Cho kind of similar. It's like, well, hers was the opposite. It was like, I did this and people hated me type of thing, right? It was sort of the opposite.
What was the vibe that, like, during that time, you guys kind of shared similar views about what was going on with Asian American culture and the bullshit that you kind of saw? The mediocrity of what you saw, and then did they just come naturally, or how did all those introductions happen?
I think it was the place to share our haterness, you know, like it was just a place to share it all and get it out there, because some, like those other magazines won't say anything bad.
Exactly.
And ours was the opposite. It was like, let's just be honest and say it how it really is, or how we really feel. And people do that on the internet today, right?
I really liked the doc, and I like, what stands out to me is when I watched it, you guys were talking about like, you wanted cool Asians on it. You guys mentioned it being cool Asians, and I didn't realize like what time period everything was happening for you guys. So I asked Dom, I was like, oh, were you like interviewed ever?
Should have been. He would be.
Yeah, but you guys, so that was my question. I was like, is he cool enough to have made it?
All of you. But it's just also, it's kind of like the indie story and the indie spirit. I think you got, you come from that indie spirit. So
DIY.
It's the same thing. So there's not much different, just a different era, maybe of time. But
I think the interesting thing, what you said is like, oh yeah, we met based off this kind of haterness thing, and that I find that interesting, because I have a lot of that where we share similar views through like hating on some shit.
For sure.
And that's cool, because you should be allowed to like some shit or hate some shit and kind of criticize and be open to criticism as well, and a lot of collector culture comes from that shit too. It's like specific things you really like because you don't see other shit like that. You see too much of other shit, and you're like, where's this specific thing that I like, and where's the community behind that?
There's a lot of camaraderie behind hating stuff.
There is.
I mean, I think I have more friends like where we hate this thing in common more than I like this thing in common.
That's what it is. That's a lot of friendships. 100%. It's like, I'm close friends with you because we hate the same thing. It really is. But it's really cool. I mean, a lot of the, like, my heroes, Asian American heroes or Asian heroes, is like people you guys really cover and share their art and all that. I've been to your store, collected so many artists from those Asian American artists that you've curated and put from the early 90s and shit.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, how did Margaret just like hit you up randomly? How did that relationship happen?
I don't remember. No, I think she liked the magazine because it was, pretty raw, but I can't remember exactly.
Was she already popping during that time?
I don't know what does that mean exactly. She had the show that didn't. I think the show that show attempt, I guess, that one season. Yeah. All American Girl. Maybe that came in. That might have came and went already. But then that was like, oh, she got this like backlash. And I think that was kind of interesting. I was like, well, why did she get that? And did she deserve that?
What was the backlash? Like, explain the backlash, because I wasn't there for that. So what?
Yeah, I mean, she had it was an Asian American TV show, just like what you got today. Yeah, that existed in, I don't even know what year that was.
Yeah, All American Girl.
What year was that?
I
think
90s?
From watching that doc, I think it was like the fact that like she didn't fit the criteria of what like a typical girl should look like.
She had a 94.
Yeah, so she had a bad experience.
Yeah, like the way she was depicted.
They wanted her to be a slim, whatever, and it's like,
fuck that.
Yeah, I remember talking. I've had Margaret on this pod too, and
she's the best.
I remember her talking about how when she came out, she got a lot of backlash from the Asian community too. I think the stuff she was talking about.
She was also perfect hater. Like, she was awesome at it. She told the truth about things, and people didn't like it. And she was amazing that way.
Yeah, those were the Asians that you were trying to like hate on.
I guess
that
she was so good,
100%.
Yeah, right.
You gotta have hate. If you're gonna hate on something, you need support. Let me tell you right now, or you'll be overpowered by their hate.
Did those other magazines hate on you guys? Like, did you ever get any backlash for your magazine?
I think those other magazines pretty much wanted us to stay small, and like they would, like, one of them said, "Oh, we're a pamphlet." Like, they, like, they would do things like that, and it was all like backhanded little compliments.
They said that.
Yeah, one of them wrote a review and said, "Oh, it's a pamphlet." I was like, "A pamphlet?
A pamphlet,
right?" Just like that. It's like they're doing their own hate in their weird way, like their Asian American way. The polite but mean compliments,
right?
But not a big deal in the end.
But did that kind of stuff make you want to just expand on from like paper zine to gloss cover?
That was like a fuel to get better and better and become a magazine, right? Just like that. But I think part of it too was that as I realized that the outsiders of Asian America, or what do you want to call it? And plus, don't forget, our first for a long time, half of our readers weren't even Asian American. That was the weird thing.
Wow.
We had this big reader base that was mixed. Like skaters liked it, artists liked it, like all different kinds of people. But ultimately, in the Asian American part of it, ultimately, it's like the outsiders were bigger than the actual insiders. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's more of actually the people that feel like outcasts, and people don't realize that. Like you look at those magazines, you think, oh, this is like 90% of Asian America. They read this magazine. And it's like, no, that's like the tiniest group that read that magazine.
Right.
The rest don't know what the fuck. They're just like trying to figure out how am I supposed to like survive when this is like the norm, these magazines.
Yeah.
So then Giant Robot comes, maybe that's where we pick up a lot of people because they're just like, oh, this is like more like me, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a whatever. I'm not a Time magazine perfect person. Like the model minority. I'm not. That's like the majority are not my model minorities.
I mean, the truth is,
look at all of us here. Like, what happened?
I feel that. I mean, shout out to your friend Martin Wong too.
Sure,
he's a co-founder of Giant Robot, and just talking about generational stuff too. Like his daughter is the lead singer of the Lindas, or just the singer, and guitarist.
Wow, really?
I didn't know that. You didn't know that, but that's just kind of cool to see the generation,
crazy, right?
The legacy of
the legacy.
Yeah. And speaking of like kind of just now and what's going on like with Asian American, like what are your thoughts in general? Like how far we've come? Is there stuff that you don't like still? And I want to hear the hate juice.
What grinds your gears?
Asian.
No, not hate, but just criticisms and things you maybe would want to see more of or less of, or you know what I mean?
One thing that's weird that I've noticed is why haven't those every attempt at an Asian American TV channel has failed, right?
Oh,
you notice that?
Yeah, and Imagination.
They've all not worked.
Right.
All of them. And then I realized it's like,
Imagination.
I think that was one of them.
That
right?
was, that's why I said it.
Asian though, Imagination.
Of course.
I mean, the names are absolutely.
The name is just
but the names, but it's almost like the pho restaurants where they have all these bad pho jokes.
Yeah.
Or like
fucking.
Or pho ever.
There was an era where it was all puns off of Asian.
Hell yeah.
Right?
That was an era.
That's a bad era though, but you know what I'm saying? Like those are all really bad. But I just think that it's interesting that in the end, like something indie, like even this podcast has to like, it's kind of like an indie,
right?
Like your own planet on this side island type of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like Asian America still has that. And then there's the major Hollywood, whatever. If you get plugged into that helps a lot.
Yeah.
But it's still just infancy to me. Like all this is in its infancy. But then the weirdest thing is, sorry to interrupt. Podcasts are still like this technology of a podcast and being on video. This could have existed in 2003. You know what I mean? Like it's like this is 20 years old technology. This isn't new. But it's like weird how this is like actually really strong today, but it's actually really just old.
I think maybe it was just a point in time where people wanted to kind of just hear these long form conversations. Maybe at the time it was just like, I don't know. It was more like short form content that started kind of like blowing up. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of went back to like this long form thing that people started liking, Like speaking of like the Asian stuff too, like do you ever feel like people are more interested in just Asia culture from Asia than Asian American?
So for us, we blended it. Yeah, that was kind of the weird part. It's like, some pages would be about somebody in Asia, then all of a sudden it's an Asian American thing.
Yeah,
and sometimes it was all consciously kind of done because I would be like, okay, we're going to celebrate this thing. Then we're like, well, we should include this other person that's Asian American. Maybe they're less famous, but it doesn't matter.
I noticed that there was a lot of Asia and Asian American mix. Yeah,
and we kind of mix it all. And that's kind of what we did. But I just think that's just for me that was just a way to go. Like it just felt comfortable because I thought. If they're not going to get big media here or media coverage here, well, they do get it in Asia. Yeah. Right. So it would always be like, well, we're going to report on what we really think is dope out there. Yeah. And then try to find what's new here that's still not, getting popular or whatnot.
Well, you think as stuff from Asia gets more international, do you feel like it's kind of the same? like Asian American and Asian pop culture?
No,
you still see it as different.
It's different.
Yeah,
I mean BTS. I mean that's that's not Asian American.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But it's just so weird. Like that line feels so weirdly blurred because it's everywhere.
But
you know what I mean?
But it is starting to happen. Like when you see, like, let's say a streetwear designer here. I mean, they blow up in Asia, but it's an Asian American person who starts something here, and they blow up in Asia, and vice versa. There is like this connection that's happening,
right? And
that didn't exist before. Because I remember in Japan, like in 2002 or something, when I'd go out there. It's like, oh, your Japanese is a little off, like something's wrong with you type of vibe, right? And now it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, I'm going to respect you for who you are and what you do,
right.
Not because you can't speak the language just right or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
But do we want to differentiate
it used to be like that.
Do we want to differentiate it? Like, do we want... I feel like as an Asian American, for some reason, I really care about being like, I'm Asian American. And there's a different group of Asians.
To Asians, I think it's okay, right? But like... to maybe non-Asian Americans or non-Asian people, I'd want them to know the difference.
You know what I'm saying? Yes.
They're like, where are you from? You're from Korea? And you're like, no, I'm doing my thing here, you know?
But a lot of people don't understand that too, because even when I talk about Asian American, culture, I feel like as soon as I say I'm Korean, they're like Squid
K-pop?
Game,
BTS.
Squid Game, K-pop.
Right.
They're all non-Asian American things they associate me with. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're not gonna be like, oh, Simu.
Yeah.
You know, like they're not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying?
It's steps, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
First is recognition, which is good, and then they'll have to differentiate. But I think it's very different too, the stylized and everything. Like if we listen to like a African American person that do hip hop and then Ugandan music, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like it's very distinct. Like it's
You think?
It's very distinct, dude.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I mean, in the current state, I mean, shit has changed drastically. Probably only in the last probably 4 or 5 years, right? You've seen it happen. Sure. Obviously, I would say the crazy rich era.
Ostentatious.
That's what you would call it. That was the movie that kind of did everything.
Wow. Yeah.
And then it just became this crazy explosion. And now I've seen it because I'm an actor too. So I go in for auditions and everything's different.
Yeah.
It's just like I have homies who's getting parts who aren't even actors because they're looking for specific people who fit the mold of this thing. And, I remember going to an audition one time before the Crazy Rich era, and I'd be in the waiting room with the top Asian actor males in the world, all in one room.
Like a who's who, the Pickens?
Yeah, who's who. And this is for like a small part, like a shitty CBS show. I'm like, why are you guys here? Like, I'm like starting out, and I'm in this room with the best dudes that you would think that they wouldn't have to even get auditions. Like, they just get offers.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is wild. And it just all changed. And now, like, you have Asian, even Hollywood royalty motherfuckers that are just, that's crazy. They're the top dudes and shit. Is there some shit? Who's your least favorite Asian?
Oh wow!
Wow.
Who's your least favorite Asian right now that you can't stand?
Holy shit!
From Asia, you mean, or what?
Just generally?
Wow, that's a good one.
You can ask him about his LFA right now.
Who do I?
Who's your least favorite Asian American? I'm not saying hate. Hate sounds harsh, so I'm going to say least favorite.
Least favorite? Do I have one? Man, let's see. There was a person with my same name, Eric Nakamura, who what did he do? He's in prison because he did something in military. What did he do? He faked something and got in a lot of trouble. Okay.
What, really?
Yeah, he was like, I don't hate that guy though. He just happens to be in prison.
Did that spill over to your side somehow? Sometimes
No.
You guys might get along actually. Who knows?
Your Wiki page is all kind of connected.
I'm trying to think who else do I don't know if I hate anybody these days.
You got to give one first, Doug.
Dude, I know. Seriously, who's
I'm trying to think of a good one.
hate?
Yeah, you might spur on some like major hate if I could think
I mean,
of
there's
any.
a lot of events like networking events I go to, and there are a lot of people that I would never like be in the same room with unless it was for something like this Asian American event that I was invited to. You know, it's hard. It's hard to say.
You don't want to say one?
What the fuck?
Well,
you made
it's
him.
tough. It's tough because I'm in it too still. You know what I mean? I think the thing about it is it's like we're in this era that this explosion happened of our culture, and it's being celebrated so much in media and representation that like as soon as you start hating on shit right now, you like extra hating because we're just kind of
I know, right?
taking off. You know what I mean? So
Tila Tequila, so it's a Tila Tequila.
Give me a year or two. I'll go with add list of names. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll start the new era of Giant Robot Magazine hating on Asian celebs. I don't know. But I did always hate that. What you said about early 90s magazines covering just these celebrities who were in these magazines. I hated that with a lot of these galas. I hated that with the Corey Yam Unforgettable Gala.
Right. Are you talking about the corny Asians, right?
No, not
like,
corny.
Is that what
it's not corny. It's just that I hated that the coverage happened only for people in movies and shit like that. You know, I knew so many cool Asians, you know, like in different departments, just like the people you covered. You were early on it. And I hated that the covers were going to this guy who had the small couple of lines in this movie or whatnot.
No,
that's
you're
what
true.
happened.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that.
Corny with a K.
That's kind of what, but that's gives you some fuel, right? Where you're like, oh,
absolutely,
I'm going to start my own podcast. You know what I mean? Like it makes you want to do your own media,
and
right?
that's exactly like what you did is exactly how I felt and what I did with this because no one was fucking with me. So I have to create my own thing and put myself on and share my stories or experiences, especially when everyone's like not trying to cover you.
Right.
I think that gravitates towards just our identity too. Like the reason we even started rapping, we were kind of anti like the path that they had for us. You know what I mean? Like coming from Virginia, my parents, there was levels, just like what I had to do, what I had to follow, this pattern. But when I wanted to break out, I was like, nah, this is not it. Seeing other people that just follow that and just be sheep kind of, I was like, damn, they're all lying. You know, I know deep inside they feel, not all of them, but some of them, they feel there's more to life than this pre-cut path.
Well, they have to see it, you know.
Yeah, well, they have to see.
And they got to see there's other motherfuckers like you.
100%.
You're only like a real hater unless you find a community. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like if you're solo doing it,
once you find other haters who hate on the same shit as you, you're not really hating
anymore.
No. You're just part of something. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So
but what I mean is like just coming across literature like that or just a zine. It's even Jin going on 106 and Park. You know what I mean? Just like seeing that little evidence, that affirmation is so powerful.
Who are some of your Asian or Asian American heroes when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, believe it or not, let's see, George Takei.
Boom.
Really?
Right.
It's because you're like a Star Trek fan and all that.
Yeah, and definitely. But I just think it's like. You look at his trajectory though, and eventually doesn't he get his own ship or something like that? You know what I'm saying? Like he actually makes it up the ladder. It takes a good 50 years, but he finally gets there, right?
Yeah.
So that's a story on its own. That's amazing. Tamlin Tomita, Karate Kid 2, but more than her acting, it's more her like advocacy she does. She's amazing. I mean, to this day, she's amazing. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch. It keeps going. For example, like in Giant Robot. Just because you don't know what's exactly, I don't know, you sort of are lost. Like you don't really understand what people's politics are, etc. Like I interviewed the dude from 2 Live Crew, not Luke Skywalker, but the other dude.
Yeah, he's part Vietnamese, right?
Craig Wong Wan is his name, right? And it's like I was like, that guy's Asian, you know, and he's in Miami, you know, rapping about like booties and stuff, right? So I was like,
rest in peace.
I got it, but I got to interview that guy. And he's not necessarily a hero, but it was just like he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
And but he doesn't get any ink because he's not Luke. But I mean, but he is 2 guys wearing the Miami Hurricanes jacket, right? The green jacket. I mean, it's like he's not a hero of mine exactly, but at the same time, I'm like,
you noticed him.
He was there doing it, and he got no ink. Like you don't even know his name, and you know his name was Craig Wong Wan. I don't even know what was his rap name, right? That's the name, Wong Wan.
No,
right?
I knew about him. I was when I was young too. I had friends who put me on to a lot of. Do you remember Kubla Kwan? Do you know?
No.
He used to. Okay, I thought you would know him because
his name dropped.
His name's crazy. I had to drop him because he's not. I have disagreeing views with this guy, but he definitely organized early on. Asian American music events.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In LA?
In LA.
Asian Hip Hop Summit.
So he put a lot of
Asian...
that?
Yeah.
He did that.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
No, you've heard of that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. There's that kind of shit.
But, you know, all the like, the Filipino DJ crews out there that were... I mean, that's Scratch Pickles. I mean, they were heroic.
Scratch Pickles.
They were heroic. Yeah. And, I mean, they're probably younger than me, but they were heroic, you know? And Rhett Matic, I mean...
Yep. Yeah,
I was
shout out.
Those guys were all amazing.
It is crazy. People don't realize that there are people looking for those specific things. Musicians with an Asian background, like we were doing that really early too. I always people caught my eye always wanted to do more research.
Yeah,
you know, like you guys were so early on that shit. You know, every time I think like, oh, I one of the few like into that. I look at your magazine, your collective.
Like Dan Automator.
I was just with Dan
right?
Automator 2 days ago.
Amazing, right? Kid Koala, amazing.
Yep.
Like they're all great, but it's almost one of those things that it doesn't matter if they're Asian or Asian American.
Yeah.
They're just good. They're just
cool
that's it.
But that's what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter.
But it's like a bonus when you find out. You're like, oh shit, this motherfucker's part Korean or some shit.
Right.
Like that shit was always wild to me. During that time, there was probably some really big Asian figures too that maybe you didn't connect with. Or like, were there certain figures like that you were like, okay, you know,
My man trying to dig right now.
No. It's not a hating thing. I'm just saying every generation has that. Just because I see Asians on TV or Hollywood doesn't mean I relate to them just because they look like me.
Yeah,
too. There's a lot of that too.
Sure.
I don't hate them. I'm just saying
I do.
it was, you know, like to me, like for instance, like even in Hollywood, like when there was, whether it's John Cho's or people coming up, Lucy Liu, I wasn't just like, oh, Asian, like we're like connected.
Yeah.
There had to be someone who kind of connected with me too, maybe on a hip hop background too or something.
Was
right?
that guy named Duk Dong or something?
Long Duk Dong?
Yeah. What
but he wasn't like big, right? He was just
but
like.
I'm saying, when you watched him, were you offended or were you like, oh, there we go?
That was terrible.
That was terrible, right?
That was a terrible time. Do you know in junior high, was it junior high or high? I got called Long Duk Dong all the time.
Wow.
Because of 16 Candles.
Oh yeah. That's my era of Asian American
representation.
Dude. Oh, you were called Long Duk Dong for years.
So that was the reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got called Long Duk Dong all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Like no one gets that anymore, right? You don't get that.
No, I'll tell you right now.
I got that a lot.
So when I started battle rap in 04, like that was already too old. Like that was gone. So I was like, oh, that's gone.
Yeah.
But
Mr. Miyagi was in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean that's gonna be there forever. I think Long Duk Dong is a pretty specific
100%.
reference. Maybe not at that time because it was out.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
It was terrible. That was really bad. Yeah. And so a lot of people hated the actor, Getty Watanabe. They hated him because he took that role and did it. And people still hate him to this day.
That's
like,
so sad.
Yeah, and I think he lives in like South Pass, right? It's like he goes and gets coffee at like in South Pasadena.
I feel like that's kind of rough too for the actor themselves too. Though.
Oh, it's terrible because like even when I was there and I looked at him, I was like, oh shit, this is Long Duk Dong, motherfucker, right? I was like thinking in my head, I was getting a coffee and he's there, and I'm like, and then he's like sitting there and like he's like kind of looking because like I don't know if he felt pressure because I
might feel that at times.
And I didn't say anything, but I just looked at him and I was like, "Oh, this motherfucker right here is right." You know, people would just hit him up in public and be like, "You motherfucker."
He's probably talked about it though. Right?
Oh, I think we had an article about it too. But,
oh, you did?
Yeah, we did.
Wait, you talked to him or no?
No. That another Adrian Tomine, this comic book artist.
Course,
he did a piece on Long Duk Dong for our magazine.
That's interesting.
Oh
it was called Donger and Me. And anyway,
but you know, it's like it's hard. It's
like, but I don't hate that. Like again, that's a guy I should hate, but I don't hate him at all.
You can't.
Right.
It's like,
not
it's
at all.
a different time. And,
not at all.
He's an actor who went in for a thing. He's not
feel
like
bad.
thinking about the future of Asian America and shit. You know what I mean?
But he destroyed dudes. Well, that role destroyed dudes for about 10 years.
Come on, G.
Wow.
Obviously,
yeah. Now we got to think about that kind of shit.
Yeah, of course.
So I told this story before on this pod. That's exact thing I told you. Where I went in for that role on CBS show, and it was all Asian American top actors, right? And all of a sudden, the audition person came out and said, "Actually, the directors wanted just hear an Asian accent version of these lines." And everyone's kind of mad.
Yeah.
And then Sung Kang from Fast and Furious.
He was in there.
Yeah, he was in there. And he says,
great.
he tells everybody, I love Sung too. He tells everybody, he's like, I know y'all are like mad about this. It sounds like bullshit, you know, but go do it. Try. I mean, if you want to go inside, do it. And if you get the part, then you could bring it up to the director. But y'all don't have the part yet.
For sure.
So that was interesting. But then Justin Chan was in the room.
That was the Justin Chan thing.
Yeah, so
where he came out and did a.
So I was there. So
Justin no way,
Chan,
that's like historical.
Wait, explain.
Okay, so Justin Chan was in there,
that was it.
And he was mad. He's like, "I'm not doing this shit."
Fuck that.
Throws the paper in the air, like walks.
Wow.
Did you do the hand though? Like,
no. Actually, I might. That might be just a thing I made up in my head.
Right.
That might not even happen. But
Did
in my
you
head,
fan it out or what?
This motherfucker walks out, right? I actually go in and do it. And the next day, this motherfucker writes a whole blog entry about like this whole piece on how it's bullshit, all this.
Wow.
and I feel like shitty because I actually did it. You know what I mean?
Wait, and he did a YouTube live video right afterwards and posted it.
I think so.
YouTube live or something on Twitter.
Yeah,
because I saw that at that moment. I was like, oh shit, you know,
because it seemed like he was a badass walking out. Well, I'm like, I'll do it. So it was like a funny.
So you pulled off what accent?
I can't do that.
He has a terrible Asian accent.
Everyone knows.
Which kind though? There's so many different accents.
It was just.
Did you do a Korean one? Then?
I think I did a Korean one. I was like,
because every person there's got a different background.
Exactly.
Maybe.
It
was like you're gonna hear Miyagi doing it, and you're gonna hear like every version. Right?
It was for that show, Two Broke Girls. They already have that Asian dude with an accent on that show, and I think it was like a guy who's like trying to collect money from him or something, like an Asian gangster dude.
Right.
Oh, give me my. You owe me $20,000 or whatever the fuck. And then the worst part is they asked for like one more rendition of it, and that's when I got hot.
Right.
Wow. I was like, I'm not doing 2 versions of this shit.
So you could
have done the Vietnamese version or something. Like
yeah,
they didn't even say what specific Asian. Just
and then that
Asian
week,
accent.
I got to hear about how Justin Chan's a hero for walking out of this shit, tossing the slides up in the air.
That's crazy. I have never. Have you gotten any auditions now where if they ask you for an accent, like in the last 2 years?
I've gotten it. Yeah, because there are certain things that are going to require an accent.
Yeah,
you know.
Really? I remember I took like an acting class like 2 years ago, and this white guy in a studio, and I remember he told me that when I would, we memorize these lines from a script and then we would have to act it out. He was like, you should learn an Asian accent. Like you should try to learn this accent. And I was like, that felt just so weird and odd for me to do, like in this time frame. I was like, and I had only started doing like commercial type of jobs, and I never had to audition with an accent like ever.
Could I hear your accent? No, I just want to hear it.
Okay, what do you want to hear?
That's your accent?
What is the piss?
Okay, that doesn't sound believable to me.
No.
Well, thank you for coming today on the episode.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Fun with Dom.
You think that's sellable? What do you think?
Sounds like Kill Bill Dave Carradine.
No, man. I don't believe that shit.
No, but I mean, I think that's why with like the long Duk Dong, like that's why Asian actors are hesitant right now to go straight into the accent because they're thinking, they're like, yo, I don't want to be.
I'm sure Ken Jeong did for Hangover.
Can I be honest with you? I think every actor should have the Asian accent in their weaponry. I don't think it's something that they should look at and be like offended by it.
I'd rather hear us do it. I'll tell you that much.
No, we suck at doing our own accents. Like even like Long Duk Dong, he's Japanese, right? His accent didn't even sound like a Japanese,
No, it was cartoony.
No,
for sure.
That's the thing. I don't think any of us. I've had discussions with my actor friends.
Yeah.
We've all tried to do our own accent, and we fucking suck at it. But we know what the stereotypical Asian accent we've heard on TV is. What American people want to hear.
Oh no, I got homies who are really good at it too.
No, you suck at it. Like yours is not even a Korean version of it.
I have a very Californian accent, so even when I try to do New York, it sounds goofy as fuck.
I could do
the fuck out of here. Like it just sounds too cartoony. Like
one time I was living in DC and I got pulled over on 66. There's a highway out there. Cop comes and I tried for some reason. I had classical music on. I was like, I'm gonna try this Korean accent thing.
You tried it?
I tried it.
Why?
I don't know.
Thought that would help you get out of the ticket?
I have no idea. I was high. I was like, all right, let me try this because I knew that if I speak normally, it would already sound weird. So I would be like, oh. They're like, license and registration. I said, oh, okay, give me a minute. And then I'm looking for it, right? And then while he's at the window, I get a phone call. And I'm like, yo, what's up, bro? I fucked up the whole thing.
So your logic was... Go ahead,
my logic was, oh, this guy didn't know. I forget what the infraction... I was like, oh, he didn't know. He was oblivious. I'll let him go type shit. I just wanted to try.
Or he's like, I don't want to deal with this
right now. Exactly. What's your address? Oh, the McCrane, But I fucked up because someone, one of my boys called me and I was like, yeah, I'll be in the studio in like 25 minutes, bro. I'll be there. We can get some White House. It was terrible, man.
Wow.
But, I feel like everyone should have their little Asian accent in their repertoire, bro.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What's your background? I mean, you're Japanese, but how many generations in America?
I guess every group counted different. Technically, I'm third, but my father's born here.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was born here, but my grandfather is from Japan.
Yeah.
But came in 1905 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
We were talking about that because I feel like it's so interesting to see like an older generation that's like from here.
Yeah.
Because like your father and everything. Because like like my parents still don't speak English,
right?
You know, and it's like, and I see it when I see like an older Asian dude
Right.
speak like full, even Koreans, like some old Korean generation. Your mom,
my mom speaks Korean, but growing up, whenever I had to like, she had problems, I wanted to call like customer service. She was like, all of a sudden, she spoke no English and needed me to do all the translating.
was that just laziness?
That was definitely laziness and just trying to use me. Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But selectively, she speaks and doesn't speak good
Yeah,
English.
like I met like an old Korean dude who was like, yeah, I used to party at Studio 54 in New York and
Right.
shit. And I was like, what the fuck?
Studio
That's
54.
rare.
It was so
rare.
weird. I was like,
Wow.
you must have been the only Korean motherfucker there.
Yeah.
That's just wild.
That's
man.
crazy.
Weird though. Yeah. I mean, for my mom, it's funny because, you know, when I'm back to Brazil, I realized that she is like, she didn't immigrate. She immigrated to Brazil first, then she came here and immigrated again. So she's immigrated twice.
Wow.
And she's had to learn the language, Portuguese, then come back here and like try to learn English and start a new life again. And I think there's a lot of Asian Americans like that have this like other and then having to start over, and then like speaking language again is like just a crazy thing to think of.
Yeah, no, I
And,
feel that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on K-pop?
What are your thoughts?
Epic? I don't know. It's just super epic.
Well, you come from a punk rock background, so
I think it's awesome. I think one of the weird things is how did that happen, and why just K-pop and not Taiwan pop or all these other ones didn't work? Like Japan pop it didn't work as big. Right?
I'll tell you
it's
why.
there. It's just K-pop is amazing, right? Worldwide phenomenon.
it is.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Color correction. That's why.
What do you mean?
What?
The videos. It's the color correction.
Oh,
I'm telling you, it's the cinematography. Like, we had this formula where we make colors pop, vibrant. I've seen other J-pop, K-pop, C-pop, all of them, right?
Right.
It's just a little lackluster quality.
But
of
you
the
know what
videos,
is
bro.
interesting? When I've been to Japan and I turn on the television, there's shows and stuff, that it's different. The color
It's
correction
Tupac.
is different.
Wow.
No, they take it kind of, they have this kind of throwback element.
Right.
where it's weird.
It's
like
as if it didn't evolve, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I still
Time capsule
I
shit.
actually, my mom watches Japanese TV, so
Yeah.
I'm watching. I see it all the time.
It's
Yeah.
interesting.
And then have you actually seen the New Year's program where they have like all those
NHK.
the girl bands, boy bands,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Mhm.
And then like I'm watching, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on, but I'm looking at the pictures, and I'm like, okay, I could just look. I'm like, oh, that's a Japanese group. That's a Japanese group. And then I'm like, that's like. It's like a Korean women group, and I'm like, they're Korean and they are hot. And I'm just like, I know that's Korean. I don't even know what they're called or anything. I'm just looking, but they're Korean. That's not Japanese.
There's like a weird aesthetic, this different
No,
aesthetic.
It's more blue. Would
Yeah,
you
but
say
but
it's
not just
blue?
the look. It's just
It's
the whole everything about it is just elevated to another level.
Right,
and I'm
right.
like, are they even allowed on those shows anymore? Because they're too good. You know, it's like sumo blocked out like a lot of people they couldn't go there because they're too good.
Oh, really?
Because they wanted more
Wow.
Japanese champions, so they started doing that. Then they eventually let them all in.
That's crazy.
But I think some of those shows probably don't even let the K-pop in anymore because they're
Wow.
too good.
They started doing that in China.
Yeah.
China government was like, yo, our country is loving K-pop a little too much.
Yeah.
And they started banning the groups. It's still kind of up. The ban is still there. Yeah.
Every Asian, like, yo, my Uber driver's Vietnamese. They're like, I love K-pop. Everything's K-drama. I go to a Chinese restaurant, the waitress is like, I love K. They're all into.
You said your Uber driver is Vietnamese, like you have a guy who just drives you around. One guy is Vietnamese. He's my driver. Yeah.
It's just, man.
I feel that. I mean, but you know what's interesting about K-pop too? A lot of the followers of K-pop outside of Korea were kind of outcasted, like weirdo kids before it obviously exploded to everybody.
That's just like anime
Anything.
too, and
Yep.
manga and anime,
that's
right?
true.
That whole culture
I
is
didn't think about that.
definitely. You were 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Yeah, you were super outcast if you like anime.
Were you following anime like that early on?
Not as hardcore, but I was definitely conscious of it and watching parts of it. But
seeing because you're covering the culture.
yeah, but
of
it
all.
was definitely outsider stuff at that time, and especially if you were non-Asian. Some people thought something was wrong with them. They're like, why do I like this so
Comics,
much? I don't
yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're not watching SpongeBob or whatever. They're watching some bootleg fan sub anime.
Yeah.
VCDs.
And now like it's just common.
What do you think
It's
is the next
common.
big Asian thing to explode from Asia? I mean, if you could predict that, we'd make a lot of money.
I
but-
know. Huh? Like, what would that be? I was never that good at like guessing these things, but
I mean, you covered a lot of stuff too. That
yeah, ultimately,
happened to-
but I didn't
yeah.
know. Like some things didn't make it, right? Like I covered things, and I'm like, oh, that didn't age well. But
yeah,
but yeah, like for example, I thought Pokemon was garbage.
Right.
You know, I was like, Hello Kitty's the shit. Pokemon's garbage. And look, Pokemon is like...
Pokemon's the biggest like IP that exists, possibly.
Yeah, I remember I once said it in an interview. I said, I said, Hello Kitty's a lifestyle, Pokemon's a fad.
Whoa.
Oops. Right? So we can't know.
You really didn't like Pokemon, or was that it?
I just thought the designs weren't as good. Like the actual, from a design standpoint, I'm like, these characters don't look as good as
they were
like
all over the place.
The Sanrio stuff. I was like, that's actually designed nicely.
Yeah, I was obsessed with it as a kid. That game came out, Game Boys, trading.
I couldn't be more wrong, right? So
wait, I can't picture you playing the Pokemon. You played the Pokemon game?
The original, blue and red. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and Pokemon cards was even bigger afterwards.
You had Pokemon cards?
What do you mean, bro? I think it was a
you did have Pokemon cards. No lie.
Pokemon was kind of early digital collectibles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, for sure. Ultimately, the concept was
the whole concept.
I mean, Magic
I would trade Pokemon with the link. We had to link to Game Boys to trade it.
Wow.
There was no Wi-Fi element. We had to connect the cord, and we would trade the Pokemon through the cord.
I lost a little respect for you right now.
I mean, I've collected them all.
That's you know, Ash Ketchum is now the world champion.
I tried to be the best, and I wanted to be the very best. The best there ever was. To catch them is my very quest.
Eric, what was your favorite manga back then?
Favorite manga? Oh, I think it's basically Akira, right?
Akira?
Yep.
Yeah.
You ever get into Ranma and a half at all?
Sure. I used
That's
to.
my shit.
See, but imagine. I used to read Ranma. I used to read Ranma and Lum.
Yeah.
Right? I used to read Lum and
that
Orange Road.
Imagine what people thought when we were reading that. Because
it was kind of like
that was forward though.
But it was kind of like romantic at the same time. But like, it's so.
Ranma would be complex now.
Ranma's complex. Can you explain it?
I know what Ranma is.
Yeah. Try to explain it to the.
Wasn't it with like water splash and
it was hot springs, right?
Yeah.
And if this guy goes into it, they become a girl.
Yeah, I remember that.
Somebody turns into a cat. Shampoo was my first crush ever.
Ranma was really big in Korea. I think it might have. Was it Korean?
That was Ramyeon.
No, Ranma. Yeah, this is classic, man. There was a video game too.
He did Inuyasha, I believe. After
we used to play this video game too. You could
pick there was a Ranma and a half video game.
Yeah, there was a video game.
It was a sex game. That's crazy.
What are so? I mean, the magazine, the Giant Robot, lasted for 16
years, 68 issues.
68 issues.
Yeah. Damn.
And you guys, was it every month or not? Really?
Every 2 months.
Every 2 months.
Yeah. In the beginning, it was just making a zine, so it's whenever you can.
Right.
Yeah, and I remember the doc was really cool at the end too, where you were like so honest about like, at some point we just got too old and we're just not cool anymore.
That's what I thought too. But I mean, I felt that because I would look at the magazines, trying to form hopefully a non-biased opinion. I would just try to look at it and go, God, it's feeling really old to me. That's what I thought.
At what age was that you felt
40 something.
Oh, okay.
But I was just looking at it going, God, it just doesn't feel like it's resonating to if I were young, would I want to read this?
Right.
But then in the end, like if I were to, we should have just kept going with it. Who cares? That was the better way to go. Was who
you
cares?
could have gotten younger contributors too.
But in the end, that was something I wanted to do, but that didn't happen. But like in the end, like maybe the young people weren't going to buy the magazine anyway. Like why even cater? Try to even cater to somebody? Why not just do what you kind of love and feel? You know, that would have been the best. That's what you should be doing anyway.
Right.
So it's like, why even cater to somebody else? Why not just, because the whole thing was built on things I was into. So it's like all of a sudden I'm going to change that. That was dumb, right? That's you shouldn't do that.
No, you're right.
You should stick with your heart if you're really into what you're doing.
That was very Asian of you.
I felt I still see a version of what Giant Robot is doing with a young Asian community. There's all these little cool clubs. There's like a group of young people doing this Mahjong Girls Club thing where they're getting all these hip young girls to have a Mahjong night once a month. Little Tokyo Table Tennis Club is another
that's awesome.
Group of really cool Asian kids that are like fashion kids that come in and they're all playing table tennis, but also just having it like this congregating ground, like to share ideas. It's really cool. So I see versions of like kind of what Giant Robot was now. This is even younger than me now.
No, it is right. But there's like all that stuff started at, the rise of the YouTuber kids that was in that, was that like 2008 or something?
Yep.
That started happening.
That was a scene too, yeah.
But if you look at it, all the topics, I was like, we wrote about this, we wrote about that. Like, I would look at all the topics and when we did this one, that one, we know, and then
I'm saying.
It just cycled out. It just kind of repeated itself in different form.
It does repeat itself. And that's the thing. I mean, that part gets a little kind of annoying too, because it's like, dude, how many times I'm going to talk about this thing? And Twitter is kind of like that. It keeps doing.
But I mean, we would write an article that's like 2,000 words, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this 35-word version of it is out. You know, it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the summary,
the Cliff Notes,
right? But that's new. And I'm like,
that's Twitter. That's
Twitter.
That Twitter is like they're trying to put the Cliff Notes of a conversation.
That's kind of what that stuff became. The content's always like that.
What do you think? Like some of the things you would be talking about, like now, if you had the magazine, you ever thought about that? Like things that you would actually, maybe not just the coverage of bands or whatnot, but what would you like to talk about?
Oh man, there's occasionally like some really crazy thing pops up. Like I quickly try to forget about it because I'm not going to do it. Yeah. But yeah, always something usually pops up and I'm like, oh, this would be an amazing article, like a deep dive, crazy article about something. And usually I let those ideas go away, but I think about it for a moment. I would do this. I would like go and, research the founding of that. And I would come up with all these ideas of how I would attack it. Then maybe the next day I'd go, what was that again? Like I would literally forget about it because I'm just not going to do it. So I would put all this effort for 5 minutes. I would go, okay, here's how I would do it. And I don't do that anymore. But I mean, that's why like I forget. Like quickly, I'll just be like, no, I'm dropping it.
You get a moleskin.
And I don't obsessed.
And I don't waste. I just like, this is going to waste my brain space. I don't need to do that. But I do. I come up with ways to attack articles, and I'm like, or I read an article, I'm like, oh, they did this all wrong. Like this isn't how. This isn't it. And then I'd be like, God, why am I reading this? It's garbage, right?
No,
like,
I see you guys covered like the guy who founded Sriracha early on.
Oh, dude, I went
an article.
But that's the thing. You could easily write an article, but I think I was got to be one of the first to go to the factory.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
because people weren't going to factories then. I was thinking, oh, machinery. That's like a robot, right? And this dude was created his own machinery to make the hot sauces.
Yeah.
So like all the machinery in his place was all handmade by this guy.
Oh, wow.
And he had a golf cart, and he was like a baller, like riding around a golf cart at his factory.
Yeah.
And he gave me a ride, and I was cruising around. This is before other people did it, and I just was like, can I go?
Yeah, you guys definitely did it before. Like so many people, like whether it's New York Times or Eater or whatever, like you.
Yeah, but that was an example. I was like thinking, like I could write an article about hot sauce, but I could also go to the factory and get a tour if they'll give me one.
Yeah.
And I was the articles were always about the next level, like how further in can I get?
Yeah.
Was kind of the idea. Like same with rice. Like it was like, well, we could write about rice, but how about if we go to a rice field where they're growing the rice that goes into the rice bags that you buy at the market? So we actually went to the rice place and watched them genetically they were like doing some genetic like engineering on rice when we were there.
That's wild.
Like there was a dude just like looking at one grain going, nope. Yes,
wow.
And like wow, yeah, and they were working on that.
I mean, to give an idea of some of the articles that Giant Robot was writing, there was a sex issue where it talked about the top craziest, whether Asian pornos, interviews with Asian porn stars. Early on,
we got in trouble for that one. Asia Carrera, yes.
Yes. This was really
Francine
early stuff. We've had porn stars on this pod, and porn stars are on all pods everywhere, but this was like super, super early.
Super taboo too. Back
then.
And but there's different levels of porn, right? There's the Asia Carrera high end.
Yeah,
she would be like a vivid person.
Yeah,
but then I was always like, well, let's interview the dirty one, like the dirty kind.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm doing that one.
You guys had like a
I'm gonna go do that.
top 10 nastiest like Asian pornos in the world. It was and also like you guys ranked the top instant noodles in the world too, and different.
That was a different issue though, right?
Yeah, it was a different issue.
Okay.
But
wait, what was number?
It was the same issue.
Yeah.
What was number one?
Oh yeah, you want to know?
Yeah,
what was the first which one? Are you talking about porn or ramen?
Both.
Nudes or noodles? What are you talking about right now?
Oh man, there was so many. Oh dude, there was like 40 noodle brands at that time. I think that I can't remember what the best one. You have to look at the issue.
Yeah,
I
can't remember anymore.
I was like falling in love with like so many of the Asian American women you covered like in these magazines.
Come on, dude.
Just from the contributors to like all these random girls, like ramen girl, whatever.
Oh, the one who in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just all these.
Just imagine she just sent that random a photo of her naked in a bathtub with all ramen in the bathtub, and I was like, oh wow.
And there was a whole interview you guys did with her too.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
of course. You don't think you're gonna follow
she's
up.
the champ, right?
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
That's funny. Let's take some calls right now. Hit us up right now. Tony, could you share the link to the documentary too? If you just type in Giant Robot, and I think it's
just write documentary.
Documentary.
It'll show up.
It says Giant Robot, Asian Pop Culture and Beyond. And it's an hour-long documentary. Trust me, it's fantastic. You guys check it out. We'll put in the description of this podcast a video link to It's by KCT PBS. Really well done. Shout out to my boy Nick Cha, who was a producer.
Yep.
And Nick Cha was actually my roommate. Not roommate.
Okay.
He lived in my apartment building. Roommate, also a totally different thing. He lived in my apartment building 15 years ago, and we were like neighbors for so long.
Hold on, his name was Nick Cha.
Nick Cha Kim.
Nick Cha.
Wow.
Come on, the battle. There's so many.
Nick
Rickshaw.
Cha.
Like, all right.
But that was like one of those things where they, I think he hit me up in an email. I didn't really know him.
Yeah.
And he just hit me up and says, interested in a documentary about giant robot type. It was like really short.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
One of those things, yes. But it was just one of those things that just kind of was an idea and it happened all really quickly.
That's awesome.
I was also at the Dirty Hands premiere back in the day. You probably saw each other there too.
Oh, I was there.
Yeah,
for
I was
sure.
there too. Yeah.
For Cho?
David Cho.
Yeah, that must have been 10 years now too, right? Or
more
something?
maybe?
Yeah.
Is that the one where you
was really
the
good.
blood
It's
in
his
the soy
documentary.
sauce?
It was really good.
Fucking nuts.
It was really good.
Cobra Snake was taking pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Hit us up on the Discord. We got Eric Nakamura. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Close enough.
Eric Nakamura at of Giant Robot. And if y'all want to if you ever visit LA and you want to buy like a cool piece or little toys, collectibles, past issues of Giant Robot.
Oh, we just dug them up.
Oh, did it?
The old office is like a tomb.
Yeah.
You like it's a garage.
So you found them or what?
Yeah. I had to get
Molded
it was really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I basically hired somebody to I was lifting boxes and I'm like I can't 10 boxes. I was like killing myself.
Yeah.
So I actually hired somebody and now it's all organized.
I told you I need issues 3 to 5.
Those are the hardest 3 to get.
I know they are.
Yeah.
I
Did you have the rest?
Yeah, I got every issue.
Oh my god!
Except those 3.
How did you do that?
I got them off of eBay.
Oh, you did not? Wow!
I did.
Oh my gosh!
Nice.
I get really obsessed with collecting stuff. Like when, I had a few, but like I didn't have early ones.
Yeah.
Right.
So after I saw the doc, I was like, oh, I gotta get them all, man.
Whoa!
So I bought a lot
awesome.
of a bunch.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
these
amazing.
are the first 2. And then
Wait, let me see those first 2. Where did you bought this off of eBay?
eBay.
Is that him? Who's in the front of this?
That's Chow
Chow
Yun
Yun
Fat.
Fat.
Oh, Chang.
But you guys interviewed him. You guys interviewed him early too.
Yeah, it was really
You guys
early.
interviewed
Was
Chow
that
Yun
before
Fat
Hardboiled
early.
or what?
Oh, it was after Hardboiled.
Oh shit! So
But
he's
it
top
was-
of the world.
But it was before like anything in America.
Yeah. Before corrupt.
There's interviews like a tribal tattoo artist.
Oh, yeah.
There's also
Right.
ads here.
Yeah. Punk rock ads.
Punk
For
rock
some reason,
ads.
like hot Asian girls look better in black and white, like classic like that. I don't know why. Like
I also I watched
Those-
on
yeah.
the first page of the first issue. There was you guys reviewed a random Vietnamese kind of film documentary.
Oh.
And there was and I looked it up on YouTube and it was like there was a scene of this Vietnamese gangster getting jumped into a gang.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is wild.
Was it like Life of Dust?
Yeah.
Buddha or something like that? Life of Dust or something?
Yeah.
I remember
memories,
that.
Crazy.
So this was $4.
Yeah, well, it was $2 originally.
Okay.
So wait, did you buy it? What did they say about how much was that, by the way?
It
How much you pay for that one?
It was not. It was more on the expensive side.
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry,
You know,
man.
it's all good.
Yeah, these are so long. I mean, I've never.
Not crazy, but you know, it was
Did,
like
did they say it was an original print or something?
No.
I was gonna say that's a reprint.
I know, I could tell
That's
it's
a,
a-
that's, a,
Yeah,
that's a bad reprint.
Definitely, that's a
I could
Xerox.
tell it's a reprint, which is kind of fucked up. They're doing that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
at
no,
least
we
darken it a little
We
bit.
reprinted some, and then I think some people just made copies.
Yeah, I get
whatever.
it. Whatever.
Yeah,
I wanted to read it.
Whatever.
It was
it's
not
all
even
good.
just collect. I wanted to actually just read it and see what was in there.
So, like, how many copies do you think? 3, 4, 5. How many physical copies do you think exist?
Oh, I don't know, hundreds.
How many did you
100?
print? Like
Oh,
per episode?
I don't remember, thousands, maybe
Wow.
2,000 of number 3 or something like that. Not very many.
Gotcha.
Ultimately, and that had to get distributed, right?
Yeah.
And then I might have a couple. I don't know. Not too
I
many.
have the sex issue. That's a dope
It's very
issue.
horny.
Oh, for sure. Well, wait, that one?
No, yeah. I mean, are they all like that? This is my first time opening one of these. I didn't know there's like 88 pages.
What's
first
so
of
horny
all.
about it? What?
Yeah,
Like,
what
I
is it?
just
What did you
opened
read?
it,
Sounds
and
great.
there's literally
what you
like,
skimmed through?
look at this. There's pictures of. It's like very pornographic. There's
Really?
a picture of somebody named Rape Man and K and Asian sexploitation from A to Z, mostly
Oh, that was
Japanese
awesome.
and
Yeah.
Chinese. Yeah.
I mean, they did a lot. They did porn reviews and stuff like that, but everything else too. There's like sumo culture. There's comic
this is so
books.
cool. I
I
wish
love it.
I was part of like this time. This is so cool to see. Like, I would've
You guys
felt
got to
really-
do it. You know, there's kids with zines.
Yeah, kids.
No, I mean like this is a cool.
I collect a lot of like
Hard to do.
like porn magazines from
Vintage.
Korea, vintage porn magazines from like the early 90s and 80s, because that stuff, the weird thing about Korea, like there's less of that stuff now. Like you can't find print of any of that stuff.
It's definitely
like,
rare. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's cool. Why I like it is like you get to see like all these Korean women during that time before plastic surgery. Because so much of the percentage now, it's like there's a look, that aesthetic that everyone kind of look. There's a face look. Yeah. So you see this kind of like the just a time before the explosion of like K-pop and the ideal kind of look.
But some of that's like because of internet and access to things it just made things like really difficult to find even back then.
That's true.
But then to find things, sometimes you would just have to explore yourself and try to find it. So for example, if you're looking for a weird porno, you would go to like one of those like Japanese video stores. Yeah. But those things are like really, I mean, they still exist. There's like Japanese video stores that are in, Gardena. Yeah. And you look at it and you're like, there's no sign. But then you look inside and they're all DVDs. Then you walk in and you've got to kind of go, hey, you got anything interesting? Yeah. Basically. And then they have an adult section and then you have to like scour and then you start asking them and then they might have something really
because a lot of people didn't digitize those
for
things,
sure.
There's some like really gross things, right?
You got to go to the front shops. You got to go to like the Korean rice cake bakery with the sex shop in the back, bro.
What?
There's a few of those joints.
Rice cake factory?
Yo, it's called a duck and fuck chip. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Shut the fuck up.
In K-Town?
No, yeah, there's a spot.
I don't know. If you put me on to that, I'll give you props.
I'll put you on.
Yeah, if there's an old Korean man as a front for a porn shop and he's selling rice cakes in the front, amazing. Porn in the back, I will give you props.
Yeah,
but that's stuff we would go look for. Like we'd hear about it, we'd go, okay, we got to find this, and then that'd be an article in Giant Robot trying to find it. But you'd have to find it. If you didn't find it, it's not really a good article. You have to find it, and then that's sort of like. The ending would be you found it. If you didn't find it, it'd be like a small, little, tiny article. It wouldn't even count. But that would be like, oh, I'm gonna go on a search all day. I'm gonna find this because, like, I know part of it was the porn thing. Like, you're trying to find the grossest porn in a porn shop type of thing. Yeah. So that would be like, okay, we got to go to these Japanese video stores and then try to get them to tell us what the dirtiest thing they got is. Right. So then, you'd be asking for, doo-doo stuff and all this, just anything. Yeah. You just
You're mad specific. Do you have any rice cake porn?
Yeah, exactly. Right. But then you'd have to ask and try to see if you could, they would tell you. And then, that'd be part of the article. Right. But and then the funniest thing is getting the responses. Like, for example, later on, I befriended one of these video guys. Yeah. And he would tell me, like, everybody comes and asks for shit videos, basically. Yeah. And I was like, who? And he would just say, like, who what kind of person it would be. And I'd be like, oh man, like, still like to this day.
Those are the good like interview kind of questions.
Right. Those are the questions I would ask. And I'm like, oh, that's what it is. Surprising. It's always, all the answers are always surprising.
It's like, oh, food influencers.
Yo, you know where you can find obscure porn? Sorry, I was just thinking this about myself. Is our father's closet, bro. I'm sure they still got that box.
My dad, I think, was pretty basic porn guy.
Bro.
Because I remember, I told you this, like when I was like in 4th or 5th grade, I found a videotape, a VHS, and it said like Cinderella number 3 or some shit. I popped it in, it was Ron Jeremy. And I was like, okay, that's kind of basic. Right. I mean, he's still fucking and shit. It freaked me out because I hadn't really watched porn like that at the time. But it was just Ron Jeremy. And I don't know why this was my reaction. I took it out and then I took out the
power of the Holy Spirit,
the tape in there. Nah, I think it just became weird. Yeah, it was a weird moment. Wow. Yeah, it was a weird moment. Fuck? I don't know. I panicked.
I remember
I panicked.
An ex-girlfriend, her mother was cleaning out the garage and found a box of Super 8 porn.
Let's go.
Yeah. Super 8 porn. And one was a donkey one, right?
Yeah.
Like the donkey. Yeah.
But all on Super 8.
Super 8, and she was throwing them away on the curb. And I looked at it and I go, you know what? I'm taking these.
Wow.
And she goes, oh. And then she looked at me and goes, well, this is why my marriage didn't work.
Wow.
Because and I still have those.
That's amazing.
Like, it's like weird, right? The Super 8 version of it. So you can kind of like look at
for sure.
That's a fire collectible.
It is. I still have those.
Do you have a Super 8 player? Do you have a Beta 8 player though?
No, it's not Beta 8. It's the real.
The actual
projector.
Real.
Projector. You need a projector. Okay. Yeah.
Well, let's take some calls, Tony. Who we got? All right, Disco Skater. Put Disco Skater through. Hello, you're on the air, Disco Skater. How you doing?
Hi.
Hey.
Yo.
You got it. Yep, we hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I thought it was you talking. I was like,
check out the articles in here. These are the first 2.
Did you feel like you had to like represent make sure to represent like all the Asians or like certain.
We always wanted to do that, but it was hard. Like Martin is Chinese American, I'm Japanese American,
right?
So we try to at least balance that. But I mean, there wasn't David Cho's Korean. He would help out.
I don't see anything Korean in this.
It was hard to do. Yeah, sometimes
but
you
now
couldn't.
It would probably.
Sometimes, yeah, we'd try. But then what? You got it.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't got enough Vietnamese stuff in here. No Cambodian stuff in this one.
Yeah.
Right?
They brought in Margaret Cho and David Cho. Those are some pretty big hitters.
We had
Mr.
writing.
Nakamura, you are a giant robot. I gotta ask you something. What's your favorite Asian?
My favorite Asian. My
God. That's so funny. I thought about asking that too. But I was like,
my favorite
no,
Asian.
in my head, I was like, I wonder who his favorite.
Like way
favorite
back,
and least favorite.
I wanted to interview like something like Kim Jong Un, like like for Giant Robot. That's what I kind of wanted to do, or his father actually, right? I think his father might have been still alive. I wanted to be able to do something like that, which I thought would be like really before internet and before Dennis Rodman or whatever it is.
Right.
I thought that this is before Vice. I was like thinking, I want to go and do that and go to some place that or go to the jungle and interview Pol Pot, like somebody that's just awful, an awful person that killed all these people, and
try to really think outside the box.
So they weren't my favorites, but that was something I wanted to do. Like on the top of my list was try to interview like a major terrorist or go and interview Bin Laden when
like Vice type shit before Vice type.
For sure.
Yeah.
I was interested in those kind of things, like to be able to interview, like whoever, like the worst person in the world kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of like I wouldn't like them, but it'd be like, I want to interview the worst people in the world. That was my a goal,
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna ask you too. Did you ever think about going into video content after you guys did your magazine?
It was really hard. Like you think it'd be easy. Like it's like I go on an interview and it's like I interview somebody major, Gong Li or something, right? And I'd interview them and I'd think, I'll just pull out my video camera and just like but then. No, it's like, no. Now I need makeup. I need this. I need a camera crew. Like all the lighting, and I'd be like, I can't just pull out my little, drop cam or whatever it is. Like, no, it was. I always thought it would be easy, and in the end, it was very complicated.
It is. I mean, it's
you would
a lot
need
of work.
You would need a real crew for that. I always thought I could just do it myself. Like while I'm doing an interview, I'm just gonna set up a little camera here. Never.
It's also a lot of post work. That's the problem.
Exactly.
This type of setup too. Like, look at this shit. It seems like it's just like my living room, but. We got fucking huge lights here, bunch of tripods and mic stands.
That's a whole different thing, right? Like you have to take that as serious as you would writing. I always thought I kind of underestimated it. I would always be like, no, you could just kind of do it real easy. And it's like, no, you got to take that more serious than your writing. It's just it's a whole nother thing. But I would love to have done it. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Do you guys think printed media is dead or dying?
No, I think it's coming back a little bit.
Okay.
I think just like vinyl records and all that stuff, there's the
collectability.
Yeah, but I also think there's people that want something tangible to read. And
for sure.
I mean, if it was a dope magazine out there, you'd probably. I mean, if you're of age, you'd probably buy it. If you thought it would be really cool and I'd want this, and you might buy it. And it's not, how much is it going to be? Like $15 or something. It won't be that expensive.
One thing I love
I think it'd be, if it's good, it's good, right?
I also love the older issues with no color pages. There's something nice about that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. The first Wild, there's no color pages
about it. I love it.
Yeah.
Disco, could you say something?
So there was this study done by this woman named Jennifer Bosson who found that it's actually true. You actually create better bonds with people when you hate something rather than like something.
Oh my God.
I know that.
It's in our
That's
nature.
the foundation of me and Dumb's friendship, pretty much.
I mean, you've heard this podcast. That's what we do here.
Yeah. And like, I just thought it was very interesting because she was on a podcast called Endless Thread. It's like, have you guys heard of that podcast where they talk about memes and where they come from?
Mm-mm.
No,
but she was saying that when two people hate the same thing, their self-esteem boosts, and they create better bonds with people because you're actually telling someone something negative that those attitudes are kind of alluring because it establishes those bonds. Whereas if you told something like, oh yeah, I really like that too, like those are normative.
Right.
behavior.
Yeah.
So you're just saying we're forming an insecure community. So we have problems. Yeah.
I could see it being more intimate to talk about something that's like negative.
I mean, I find a lot of common ground to go deeper. Like when this friend and I, we hate something. It's not, our bond is not just because of the hate. It's like the reasoning why we hate it. You know what I mean? Like the kind of like reason behind why we dislike something. It's like
I get excited. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Right? Why do you hate that?
Yeah.
But it might strike something deep within, right? That's
100%.
like, here's why I hate it, and it's deep, some deep thing, and then
it's like it could be better. This is, this is what it could be. Like there's a lot of different angles to it.
Yeah, but there might be a situation where we'll never be satisfied too. It's like, imagine all our favorite things go like so mainstream to a point. Like, would you be happy with it? It's like when you're young, you want to keep these things like in this little small community. You don't want your precious to be exposed to the masses, kind
for
of.
sure. And it goes even deeper. Sometimes we're even bonding because we act like we hate it, but we secretly love it.
I don't know if that's the case for some of these things, but
Another comment I wanted to make though about like tangible magazines is that I recently bought a magazine from Dog Days, which is all about roller skating, and they're based out of, I think, Germany or the UK somewhere. But I bought the magazine because like it was cool. Like I wanted to have it like on my coffee table. Yeah. And like it's definitely a conversation starter to have something like that when people come over and they're like, oh, what's this about? Or like the flip through it, and like you could talk to people about it. And I mean, like I kind of grew up on magazines. I was that kid that would like kind of look through them but never bought any of them because I was like too little to actually buy my own magazine. My mom would probably be like, why do you want this Lowrider magazine? Like,
yeah.
Lowrider magazines were cool too.
Yeah, there's Teen Angel,
Teen Angel's awesome.
Yeah. There's a bunch of like dope magazines. I mean, I feel you about the conversation starter. It's always the conversation starter when I have tentacle porn just laying around the coffee table. Yeah, it's just no. I'm kidding.
Fucking Danny, dude. Hate people.
Hate people. Yeah. Thanks for calling though, Disco. That was good. Thank you for doing that scientific research. On behalf for us.
Thank you.
Breaking down our insecurity and scientific.
And now we know why.
Yeah. Now we know why.
Why?
That was very therapeutic. All right, let's talk to, what do you got? Mexican Hanu, what's up?
The freaking caller right here.
What's good, bro? What's on your mind?
I just wanted to ask Eric. I feel like there's a lack of Asian American representation in video games. Do you think that's just just a coincidence, or what you think?
You mean in terms of creators or characters?
Characters.
You think so?
Really? Well, shut up, bro.
Well, I'm not a gamer like that.
Yeah.
Like, who's an Asian American character?
Well, Sleeping Dogs was like the GTA version of a.
That's a Yakuza joint, right?
Yeah,
and then we got
Yakuza
Final
as well.
Fantasy and all that shit.
But those are all like Asian, like from Asia.
Oh,
Asian American.
Like he's saying like from here.
Asian American.
Even I confused those.
That's an example, like where I want to just
That's
right?
true. That's true.
Like Call of Duty might have an Asian American.
There is. There's a guy named Hwaran Kim.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. He was a degenerate gambler who went to ROK.
So you really feel like there isn't enough Asian American representation?
But how do you even do that? Like, how do you even know if someone is Asian American in a video game? Is it like you click them and then there's a bio that's Justin Lee is Asian American and he's happy to represent.
See, but like Ryu is Asian, right? Someone wrote Ryu is the biggest character ever, but I mean, that's not Asian American. No. That's an Asian from Asia, right? That's a little different, right?
Well, Pac-Man's Asian, right?
Pac-Man.
Give us. Wait, Mexican Han, why do you say that though?
That's really funny.
I was just like curious because like especially like I think there's one side character I could think of, like there's a character named Ada Wong, in Resident Evil. But I was thinking about it and like just realizing that there's really not that many Asian American representation.
Yeah. You know what it is, man? It's like graphically it's hard to design Asian American characters. You could make Asian characters, you know what I mean, with like the like the stereotypical look, but how do you differentiate Asian American?
It's gotta have the American flag.
It's the voice actor at that point.
It's
you
like,
know
there's this Vietnamese fighter with a mega hat. Okay.
Wow.
It's just like I don't know. Like I don't know if you want to like. I guess you got to dig into their bios and shit. And I don't know how much people want to go into the backstories of these characters. Like,
my boy's crouching inside a kimchi squat. Like what the fuck? It's an actual crouch.
Funny.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that there are a lot that are emerging and coming out more and more. There's full-on Asian, games, and
there I am.
Yeah, they're making more. They're even making more Black characters, more Latino characters, like everything, So I think it's something that's gonna slowly start,
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah,
but thanks. That's an interesting.
Throw my voice in the game.
I could
creators.
see Simu Liu turning into like a video game.
Yeah,
for sure. Him being in something.
Yeah, I'm sure they have already him doing the voice for the Shang-Chi character at least or something.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for calling, Mexican Hanu. Let's get another person on the air.
That's awesome.
Illegal?
Yo, I love this episode. This is dope.
Yeah, what's up?
Yep.
What's up? You're on the air, bro.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
I wanted to do a Minority Report.
Absolutely. I always.
This is a game where we just guess the ethnic background of the caller just by their voice.
Okay,
wow, but just by the voice?
Yeah.
Three prerequisite questions though. Where are you calling from?
I'm from Rochester, New York.
Rochester, New York. Okay, and the sentence is going to be, I'm looking for the issues 3, 4, 5 of Giant Robot.
I'm looking for the issues of 3, 4, and 5 of Giant Robot.
Okay.
Whoa.
Based off of that phrase,
Yeah.
what do you think the ethnic background of this caller is?
Do I guess?
Hey, we
first?
all guess. We all guess.
Go ahead,
we all
Eric,
take
you
a
first.
Vietnamese.
Right.
Vietnamese.
That's so funny. The
too.
tempo of your word speed is like very Southeast Asian. You know what I mean? You do have a
Yeah.
Like
Vietnamese.
he's skipping on a lake.
Yeah,
Just,
like he's on a hard DDR level right now.
How about you, Steph?
Rochester, huh? I guess Chinese.
I'm feeling Chinese, but there's a Korean thing too. But I'm gonna say Chinese. I'm gonna stick with
I'm
Chinese.
gonna go Taiwanese.
Okay.
What are you, boss?
I am Lao.
Wow!
Wow,
I'm the
you're
closest.
loud.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm the closest.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the closest. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's no slight. It's just you guys do talk a little bit faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
That's funny.
What's up,
buddy?
bro?
That's awesome.
Well, question for Eric, but just in general. Just recently, I just did like an Asian inspired DJ set because I DJ and whatnot, and so I wanted to ask, how do you go about curating content and balancing between Asian and Asian American content for the magazine? Because I had difficulty doing that myself when I was preparing my set. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts were.
Gladly, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
No, I don't make the magazine stopped a while ago, but for me, I think it's partially I don't have to worry about that stuff. But back in the day when I did, it was just kind of one of those things where you go, God, there's just too much Japanese shit in here, and then we would just go, okay, we better start thinking about other things, just because you didn't want to skew too far. But we would cover anything. It just has to be good, whatever it is. And it's kind of the key thing. Yeah, it just has to be good.
Could I ask you, when you were actually reaching out to the Maggie Chungs, the Chow Yun Fat, how did that happen? Like you would just hit up their management, or like?
But then I think once you did one really well, like you covered one well, they were like, in America, there's one magazine that'll put us on the cover.
So no one was doing that with those stars in Hong Kong or
nothing like that.
Really?
They not in America. No, you'd be on like page 9 of the LA Times.
I guess we don't think about that because these are like legends now. That we think, like even in American cinema, there's a lot of respect for Hong Kong cinema, all that, with the Wong Kar-wai and all that. And then, but like that time, they weren't even thinking about that.
Wait, so these glossy magazines that was
they were covering
featured on that.
Import car models,
maybe
sometimes, right? Sometimes, or an actor. Russell Wong would have been on the cover of some of these, right?
Right. Okay,
so it's a Joy Luck Club.
Yeah, that kind of vibe, right?
I see.
Yeah, Tamlin Tomito was on the cover. Like some of them made the covers of these.
Interesting.
I mean, back to your question.
Wait. Also, we heard the one sentence, or no, that further sentence. Did you still think he's Chinese after hearing that? Like what he just asked?
That's
definitely not Chinese.
Oh, you don't hear that at all from the English phrase he just said?
Well, now that he said even more, I'm like, definitely not Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah. You didn't catch that?
Nah.
Like, hell no.
No, definitely Southeast Asian.
But we also take into consideration of like demographic region. Like Rick had a really high percentage
had a good run for
guessing.
A little bit.
Oh, really?
It was insane. We were like, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then he started fucking up a lot.
I mean, back to your question though. It's like same with like track listing. When we're done with a mixtape or album, it just has to flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has to. It has to be widespread. Like for us too, we have multiple genres of rap. We'll do like trap. We'll do boom bap. We'll do more poetic stuff, bright stuff, dark stuff, but you have to make sure that you don't just mass it all in one part and you kind of spread it out. Right. You know what I mean? So yeah, same thing.
It's tough. It's also your interest. If you're interested in more shit in Asia, then cover Asia shit, you know. Or if you're interested in Asian American shit, it's not all the same, like you said. So
yeah, exactly.
Just where your interest lies, really, and then ultimately, in the end, it's the editor or the founder of the thing that's gonna push what they want to share.
But it's curating too, right?
It is.
Choosing. Just like you said, your track listing thing's a good analogy. It's just figuring out what, even the order of the articles.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to put up front? What's going to go in the back half? How's that going to all balance? And,
but you're interested.
Cadence, there's like actually a reading cadence.
There's a rhythm.
Yeah.
But the thing about like things like when you love doing something like this pod or, like the type of guests that I have on this is like the type of interest that lies, or even my collectibles. Like I don't collect shit because it's worth money. I collect shit because you like it. Like I bought those 2 things for more than I should have probably paid. Wow. But I wanted to have it. I wanted to see what the contents of his were. Like
there's value to it.
Yeah, it's for me.
For you.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I didn't get it for resale.
Yeah.
Like there's so much of a resale culture that exists now that
hardcore, right? Like that's so much.
I collect shit for me, bro.
Yeah.
None of my shit is worth anything. It's for me.
No, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks for calling, bro.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
What else we got? D Fears. What's up?
Share them.
Also, happy Thanksgiving to everybody this week. That I'm not gonna be able to say that because this is gonna come out before. But happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Guys, for sure. Hope you guys have a lot of.
Thank you to everybody who's tuned in this year. The amazing guests we've had.
100%.
Yeah, man, it's been a great year. Not gonna lie,
it's been a great year.
It's been a great year.
D Fears, how you doing?
Yo, what's up, man?
Share them all.
So I know you say this a lot, but you're the mayor of K-Town. My homie is in K-Town, and he was wondering, what does he have to do for you to step down in office?
I've already stepped down, bro.
Did you?
They just had the recent election of Los Angeles, and that's when I gave up my post.
Yeah, but you touched up your chest.
Nah, I don't. Dude, first of all, I am not a self-proclaimed mayor of K-Town. People just say mayor of K-Town. Like, I don't care for the title of mayor of K-Town. First of all, I hate that shit because it comes with duties. Like, I have to recommend places. And I don't want that shit. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking Yelp. You know what I mean? Like, I'm stepped down. If he wants the title, it's his. You know?
He's not K-Town mayor. He's hometown hero.
Hilarious.
Get it right.
So, funniest,
Okay.
The funniest thing was, hold on for a sec. I get called the mayor of Sawtell, Japantown. I've had that for a long time.
You should be the mayor of that.
You are, bro.
I've had that for a long time.
Yeah.
And people have said that. And same thing. It's like, I don't want to recommend which sushi place or which boba spot is the one to go to, but I get called that all the time.
I mean, you've been there for a minute, right? Sawtell, that location.
But there's people who've been there their whole lives.
That's true.
I mean, but you know what I'm saying? Just because I have a shop and I'm around, but I get called that too. So
you know what's interesting about?
So I'll be the
How about the one here?
We could run this town.
Yeah.
How about was there like a competition, a friendly competition with the other little Tokyo, like the one near the arts district?
No, that thing is a beast. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's its own thing, and it's a beast. It's amazing.
Have you ever thought about having a shop over there?
I'm afraid.
Oh, really?
I'm surprised
it is
you don't
amazing.
have one there.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I go there and I'm like, holy smokes, this is like the Sawtell Japantown on steroids.
It's been a thing on the weekends too, where like big anime fans dress up as characters and they'll go there just to hang and shit. It's like crazy.
That's the glossy magazine section. You know what I mean?
That's not the
real shit.
Yeah. It's a place where they, Japanese Americans still live there, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about Little Tokyo. There's some living there, but
no, Sawtell's great though. I love the food and
different.
everything there.
Yeah.
So my guy, your friend is visiting the town and he wants to become the mayor of K-Town. Describe this to me. What's going on?
No. We live in K-Town.
Oh, you live in K-Town.
You sound super K-Town. No, man. You Korean?
No, I'm not actually.
What?
How does he sound K-Town to you? That
doesn't sound like it at all.
K-Town at all. No.
I was gonna say, what do you guys think that I am?
He sounds kind of half
Hispanic.
He sounds like a half.
I was gonna say Latino.
Yeah.
I was thinking a Hapa situation. No.
The Hapa?
Yeah, definitely half.
Wow.
Definitely.
Wow. You're good with the half. Your half dar is good.
Wait, that's insane.
My half dar?
Yeah, your half dar is good, dude.
Wait, what is the halves? What are the two halves, you think?
I think white.
Really?
White and black.
No white
no,
and something
there's
else.
Is there any Asian?
What do you think? What is it?
You're right. It's black and white.
Whoa!
Oh. Sometimes situations are black and white.
Sometimes situations are black and white. It is one of those
How the fuck did
situations.
you
Like
get
a
that?
zine, you know?
That's
That's crazy.
insane. That's a crazy thing.
Yo, you know what's crazy about Sawtell, that area? There is a bar, the name of a bar there. It's the same name of a bar I go to in Cape Town. It's called Cafe Blue.
Oh, I saw that.
That's right next door.
It's right next
Yeah,
door.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I go to a Cafe Blue in Cape Town.
That's crazy.
That's
Wait,
so weird.
is it spelled BLUE?
It is.
Oh, this one's BLEU.
Yeah.
No, it's BLEU.
Oh, it is.
It
Out
is,
here
it
too.
is.
Wow.
Because
That's
sometimes
weird.
I've told my friend, like, hey, let's meet at Cafe Blue. And they've driven all the way there. And I'm
Oh,
like,
no.
Oh, shit, my bad. Yeah, I got to tell them the Cape Town one. Yeah.
Wow.
That's so funny. I just
Yeah,
went to a church
karaoke
this Sunday, right on Sawtell
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
I believe.
All
That's
right,
crazy.
hey, thanks for calling. Let's take one more call and we'll call it a day.
One more call today.
We got
It
Merboy.
feels, the Sawtell Little Tokyo feels a little more bougie.
Does it?
It feels more expensive and
It's
like,
not, it's
yeah,
not.
it does. It
It's,
has like a,
it's smaller though
Yeah.
in space. Maybe that's why. Like they have no
Maybe.
choice. They could hike up prices because it is actually limited in space.
Oh,
whereas
right.
Little Tokyo is way bigger,
yeah.
and it seems like it can almost even keep going a little bit further.
Yeah.
Whereas Sawtell's
Yeah.
kind of stuck where it's
Stuck,
at. There's
yeah,
not
it's-
much space else to go right now.
yeah.
Maybe
Mm.
there's that reason. You know, like
You got to open up there, bro.
yeah.
All right.
Expand.
Let's get one more call. We got Merboy. What's up?
Merboy.
What's up?
What's up, bud?
What's up? I want to start off by saying happy early Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful for this
Aw.
pod.
Oh, thank you.
Wow.
Appreciate it.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Glad to have Steph back. She's definitely a missing key ingredient.
Aw,
Yeah,
thank
people were worried
you.
that she was gonna we booted her off. And
Hell
she wasn't gonna
no.
return.
And it was Rec who would be like the replacement.
yeah, Rec
Is
is
that-
always extended family. But,
Rec is,
you know,
yeah.
You're the regular co-host here. Come on.
You need
now.
a girl. You need a girl.
Yeah, it gets a little. You know.
That
We
was the same
missed
with
you.
the magazine, same kind of thing. I always thought, oh, we needed a female that was like on staff, but
Yeah.
we didn't really have that. So we had writers. We always kind of, really have that.
Yeah.
We had, the designer was that changed everything too,
Right.
right? Having a
I saw
female
that.
designer, but that changes the kind of the look. So all of a sudden you're like, well, although she's not writing, that the visuals kind of turned a very different.
Yeah, you guys were mentioning that.
Yeah.
She was
You noticed that,
awesome.
yeah.
I really liked.
She is
yeah,
awesome.
I was like,
No,
yeah.
she's amazing. But yeah, that's why it's equally important for you to be here.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah. What's up?
Young Balance.
Oh, I wanted to ask Eric. I haven't watched the documentary, so I don't know if he addressed this, but I wanted to know what he thought since he was covering, Asian culture way back, and now to see it blow up from like ramen, Takashi Murakami, Bathing Ape, anime. I want to know his perspective on that, seeing that before his eyes.
Oh, I was there for all of that stuff
The
you mentioned.
Genesis,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was there for that. Like I met Murakami in 2000 maybe, or 2001, I think.
Wow.
So I met him then, and we still keep in touch to this day because he was in the documentary. But yeah, I got to witness all of those things and cover them. I didn't write about Bathing Ape, but I wrote about Hiroshi Fujiwara, who's sort of like
Yep. Godfather.
kind of like actually the senpai of Bathing Ape, right? So no, it's just amazing to see. And that rise, though, we were actually there to write about all these things, and
Yep.
I got to witness it. Now, some of it was a phenomenon. Like I didn't understand it, so I would actually pursue it for articles. Like so, I did cover Bobby Hundreds, Jeff Staple, like
Yeah.
all these Asian Americans who were doing rad things.
Michelle Yeoh super early and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that was part of it, is being able to watch it all and see it. But then I think after our magazine finished, it went up multiple levels further.
Yeah.
And that's kind of neat to see. I mean, including media or Asian American media, which to me is all splintered all over the place, but includes something like a podcast like this or Bobby Lee's podcast. You know, David Cho's, well, not anymore. I guess he's not doing it.
Yeah, and
But
David was
that's an
kind of
example.
early on that too.
Yeah, but I mean,
DiBiase.
but I think it all splinters off into all these different viewpoints, but they're all really strong. You know, that's kind of the cool thing to see.
Yeah.
And I feel like again, it's just starting. That's what I keep thinking or saying is that we're just still at
Infancy.
agenesis, right? There's a lot more to go.
But I think it was like really important for me to share the documentary and Giant Robot and the story to let people know like this didn't start at like Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
yeah,
man.
but I want to tell people because there's a lot of people who don't know that. You know, they don't know a lot of
Yeah.
the older history of
Yeah.
Asian American publication, media,
For sure.
representation, all that. And to me, Giant Robot is one of like those.
Yeah.
Super early. And started in Southern California. Even when I was when I met you, I was way younger, you know. So I was seeing you at Zine Fest and your store, and
Yeah.
I was
Right.
collecting things and buying shit at your store, you know. So
I mean, I'm just so
generations of this.
inspired. Just the feeling I get, just do it. You know what I mean? Like
That's-
whatever you do, just do it. Because
That's
I'm looking,
totally it.
I'm looking at the wikis and I'm seeing just like the accolades of somebody. a lot of the things I see, I'm like, oh, that was not that big. You know, it wasn't a small thing. It wasn't that big of a feat. But just on text, after a while, when it's accumulated, you're like, this is what it is. This is what becoming something is. You know what I mean?
I think that's like very an Asian American thing too, because maybe, well, I mean, there's other groups that have things a lot more difficult, but Asian Americans, smaller group, right? So there's some less opportunities here and there. And sometimes you just got to do it yourself on those things. Like I would see, like that's how like an Asian American film festival even started. They're just like, well, shit, we can't get our films into any of these others. We're going to create our own, right? So everything's always like, oh, or that thing sucks. We're going to create our own. And that's sort of how a lot of Asian American things, I know, probably other groups too, how they all start. It all starts from you being pissed off, you know, and hate and angry. And then you're just like, I'm going to start my own. Fuck you all. I'm starting my own.
That's why it's interesting, you know, like these Asian small countries have created such a huge pop cultural imprint globally.
For sure.
You know,
definitely.
Japan, South Korea, even Hong Kong alone, because it's not, it's a lone city. Like that created a whole cinema style.
Dude,
you know?
Did you know there was a time when Hong Kong cinema, I think in the world, they were the second biggest makers of movies.
That's crazy.
India was number one, right? They were just turning them out. Hong Kong was number two.
Wow.
And America was actually further down the list.
That's
you know,
insane.
so like there's more movies coming out of this small island than America.
So wild.
Right? And that's when and then I think Daniel Wu once said, I think did he make like 8 movies in a year or something like some crazy amount. I'm like, he starred in that many, not just a player on the side, but on the box cover.
That's insane.
You know, something like that. So, you know, just
Eric, well, I wanted to ask Eric, did you ever get to feature, because I'm familiar with your magazine and I'm a little bit younger, so I apologize, but did you ever get to feature Korean artist Jim Lee in your book? Because he's such an icon.
Jim Lee's amazing. I didn't, but we've worked with Jim Lee in an art gallery, like in my art gallery setting, because I currently have an art gallery. So I've worked with Jim Lee a bunch. He's like the Michael Jordan of comic book artists, right? Like there was a rise of all these Asian American comic book artists out there, right? There's Jay Lee, right? There's like all these names there's a whole bunch. And then but Jim Lee ultimately is like the one. How come he's like a heads next, whatever you want to call it? He's just above everybody else. To this day, he's still like the Michael Jordan
like
of it all.
The head dude at DC. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
crazy.
Well, I did an interview him once. Come to think of it, it was shorter, but I think the question was Marvel or DC, and he says DC by just a little bit.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he said that.
When was this?
It was a while ago, but there was something in Giant Robot. It wasn't much, but it was short. But I remember I got to ask him that. But he said that, and I was like, oh, whoa, you know.
We've had Jim Lee on this podcast.
Oh, he's amazing.
Jim's the homie. He's talking about. Has like 10 kids or something.
So the streets are saying, dude.
That dude has a lot of kids. I remember that. Yeah.
He's a really nice guy.
I love
Jim.
Jim's great. Yeah.
But I mean, his influence is more massive than you could even imagine.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. It's
it's
the whole look and feel, you know. Everything.
He put X-Men on the map, redesigned them, and it's also the #1 best-selling comic of all time.
Yeah.
So
damn, my boy.
And he still says DC by a little bit.
They say Marvel took its first L right now, movie-wise.
Yeah, but
Black Adam.
But Jim can't be out here talking about like he likes Marvel better than DC right now. You know what I mean?
But those Marvel, the work he did at Marvel is so good.
Yeah,
you know those drawings are so good.
It's iconic.
All right, well,
thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, Merboy, thanks for calling, man. I don't know if you saw that Jim Lee episode. You go back and watch it.
It's fire, so good.
Yeah, definitely. All right, have a great one, guys.
Bye.
All right, happy Thanksgiving, brother.
Thank you.
Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. Eric Nakamura of Giant Robot.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for everything you've done as a fan. We're fans of everything you've done, but culturally, the impact you've made, man.
Vice versa, though.
So
thank
cool.
You, man. Thank you. No, we're just all part of the same kind of lineage and history of like creators and
haters.
Creators and haters.
Creators.
Yeah,
Oh
we just
my
make a new crew,
God.
the creators. But then we're just doing that imagination thing where we're just fusing things together. No, we're not. We are the creators.
Live on Imagination.
The creators. But Eric Nakamura, please go check out the episode. It's a documentary, a full documentary on YouTube. Giant Robot documentary. That's
so
all you got to put in, and just go and share it with friends or whatnot. I just want more eyes on it. And
Put that link
Can
on
I
your
say
IG.
something really cool about it that maybe it would make people also watch it? Is they did this radical thing, which is skateboarding in a concentration camp. Isn't that fucking crazy?
Internment camp for
I'm sorry,
Japanese.
internment camp. You gotta go. Just even seeing that was like a lot to me. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, there wasn't a historical landmark at that time.
Yeah.
So you couldn't do that today.
No.
Shut the fuck up, jalapeno funk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just check it out. There was a lot of history in these books now because it was a while ago. I mean, we're talking 20 plus years now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of history in it. There's a lot of cool perspectives. Like I love '90s aesthetic too. So I just love '90s.
Oh God,
shit.
so weird it's back. Is that why they made a documentary?
Baggy's coming back. Baggy's coming back.
90s
like Junko jeans.
Yeah,
is that coming back?
I've always been into fashion, all like '90s stuff.
I'm gonna love this '90s resurgence.
Oh my
baby.
God.
Yeah. Check it out.
Hell yeah.
Giant Robot documentary on YouTube. We've linked it here. Eric, it's always a pleasure, brother.
Yeah.
Tune in next week for another episode of Fun with Dumb. Yee! Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Peace.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yay! Say Happy Thanksgiving Asian accent.
Shut the fuck up. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. That's the Japanese one, right?
Yeah, that's the one I know.